Well, good evening, everyone. You can see I'm having fun with all of the new broadcast tools and capabilities. Hopefully, that'll spice things up a little bit. Somebody give me a good to go in the chat there if the video's working, the audio's okay. Again, I am messing around a little bit, so I don't want to take it for granted that everything's working well. But hopefully, you like the intro there. And Toby's there, Evol's there, Ken Pesic is there. All right. Good. Glad to have everybody in there for the 131st week of Speaking of Zane, February the 14th, 2021. The year is zooming right along. Lori is there with our little grandson, Everett, just down the hallway. He went on a road trip. Hannah went up to Memphis for a couple of days, and on her way back, she forgot to look at the weather, and she went right smack dab through a winter weather warning between Memphis and Tupelo. And she said there were cars in the ditch and ice on the roads, and she made it okay. But I think she learned her lesson about looking at the forecast. But certainly good to have everybody in there. I'll try to acknowledge everybody that joins. I don't take any of you for granted, that's for sure. My Aunt Mary is there. Good to have you all in there. And as you can see, I'm playing around with a lot of new functions and capabilities, and I'm actually streaming right now to both my Facebook page, to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and also to my YouTube channel, which I hope to become more active with. I do have some things cataloged there on the channel, but I've never done any live stream there. But this new tool by StreamYard lets me do that. So I've got 3 streams going at the same time, and people that aren't on Facebook can watch us on YouTube, and that hopefully that'll broaden our group here. Well, let's see. Speaking of using the new tools and really trying to do some things different, just to keep things a little more interesting and friendly. And now that I have the ability, as you saw a couple of weeks ago, to bring guest speakers in very seamlessly. You saw Lori and I were both side by side on the stream. I can do that with up to 10 people. But because I can do that now, I think it's going to allow a much easier way to bring other folks in to talk about Zane, or talk about military matters or veterans matters or organizations that do good work. In fact, I've already got a couple of guest speakers lined up. Just need to settle on some dates. As you might imagine, the very first person I asked was Kelly Kowal, Gold Star mother of Army Specialist Corey Kowal, who was killed in Afghanistan. And Lori and I have gotten to know Kelly through her work at My Warrior's Place down there near Tampa. And I emailed Kelly and told her what I would like to do and if she'd come and be a guest and tell us her story. And she said, yes, absolutely, I would love to. So we're going to nail down a date for that, and I'll try to give everybody plenty of heads up. But just a fascinating story that Kelly has about her son, Corey, and the circumstances of his death and everything that has occurred since. It's been about 11 years for her, but just a fascinating story of somebody taking tragedy and turning it into a way to help other people. And boy, she certainly could have just shriveled up and withered away. The amount of grief that a parent feels, but she didn't do that. And because she didn't do that, not only is she an encouragement to other people, but she has built just a fascinating place where warriors and families can come to rest and relax and recuperate. And Lori and I have stayed there and plan to do so again. And just a fascinating story. I hope everybody will enjoy it. I'll give folks plenty of heads up, and you can share with your friends. And we'll see if we can get more than the normal on here when we have her scheduled. And then I have my friend Amanda Duggar, who's actually was a coworker of mine, but turned into a good friend of mine, and just someone else that has a fascinating story of perseverance and determination. You may recall I've talked about her on many occasions, and she joins us here quite often on Sunday nights. But she's a two-time cancer fighter. A young woman of 40, had cancer when she was 20, and then was diagnosed this past year at the age of 40 with breast cancer, and now she's undergoing the treatment for that. Has a beautiful little, what is she, Lori? About 10-month-old daughter named Ellington. They call her Ellie for short. Anyway, she's agreed to come and tell us some of her story, and I think you'll be encouraged by that. So if you know anybody else that might be interested to come be a guest on Speaking of Zane, tell me about it. Or if you want to come and talk about your personal experiences, or how did you know Zane? What do you remember about Zane? Doesn't have to be, the hour. It can be 5 minutes, or anything in between. But I think the new tools give us some great capability to do those kind of things. And I hope you're as excited about some of that as I am. Just some fascinating stories that people have that we may never hear if we don't ask. People live incredible lives, and oftentimes no one ever knows really just how fascinating that life is. And maybe this will be a format that we can use to tell stories like that. Let's see who else we've got over here. If you join and you want me to know you're there, put something in the chat. Jonathan Peters, another one of Zane's battle buddies. Good to have you in here. I've seen you on the page, but I don't recall if you've joined us on Sunday nights or not. If you have, I apologize. But if you haven't, welcome. We'll often get Travis Loest on here, and Max Andrews, and Johnny Eval's on here tonight, and Matt Aaron, and others, Andrew Vasquez, Fresquez, and several others join us regularly on here. And I tell you what, Lori and I just are absolutely amazed. Well, we're not amazed. We're grateful. We're glad that his Army buddies are remembering him. Our worst fear was that he would be forgotten, and you guys are making sure that's not the case. And there's a couple of you that are coming up as Facebook user, and I know it has to do with the way that I'm broadcasting now. So if I don't acknowledge you by name there, you just came up as Facebook user. So I'm not quite sure. I think maybe Jim Miller or somebody. But anyway, good to have you guys in there, and look forward to having some guests in the coming weeks. Well, let's see. I can finally talk about sports again. Baseball this week, actually, pitchers and catchers report for most teams. I know that's true for the Braves down in the Port Charlotte, Sarasota area. I got to see one spring training game last year before the Chinese virus hit, and then that was it. And but we'll see what happens this year. I don't think I'm going to get down there for spring training. I'm not 100% sure. Lori and I, we have a lot of things going on. February, March, and then, but maybe April. I'm thinking we want to get back over to my Warriors place, and I want to take some folks from work and go help Kelly at the retreat with anything she might need help with, like we did last year, about a year ago. This last week, we all went out there, about 20 of us on my team, and just had a great time out there, putting a roof on a a gazebo out there in one of the courtyards, and I want to try to do that again. I've had several people ask me about it, and it'll be a great time for Lori and I to get away. Our anniversary is in April, so it would make sense. And maybe drive down to Tampa, spend a few days at my Warriors place, get our team out there to do some work, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see. So, but I don't think I'm going to make it for spring training. That'll be after spring training's over. We'll see. And then Lori and I are planning some other trips too. Kind of loosely, we want to go on we'd love to do a cross country. We want to do a cross country trip. But we might do one that's a little bit shorter. We might do up the East Coast. We'll see. But we're trying to get something, put a stake in the ground on something, but we'll see. Yes, Aunt Paula, we would definitely plan to see you. In fact, when we set up the time at my Warriors place, I would love for you to come with us. I don't want to put you to work necessarily, but I would love for you to come see the retreat. I would love to introduce you to Kelly, and that'd be great. We really look forward to that. There's a couple people I look forward to seeing that Aunt Paula, I haven't seen you in decades, and my friend Ken I have never seen in person, and Ken lives over near Orlando, and I would love for it to work out that we get to see Ken and Janet while we're down there. Good. I'll count you in, Aunt Paula. We've got a team of about 20 or so at work down there that we were able to cobble together last year, so we'll probably try to do the same thing this year. And just what a sense of satisfaction it is to go do some good work for a good place that serves veterans. And you know what I didn't do last week that I think I told you all I would do is post the link to the Returning the Favor episode with Mike Rowe that he did for Kelly at my Warriors place. It's only about an 18-minute episode. I will do that. Lori, please hold me to it because I want everybody to see that, maybe in preparation for when Kelly comes on to tell her story. That would be kind of cool. And Ken, I can't put anything past that guy. He has already figured out the hat of the week. And remember the hat of the week. I'm a ball cap guy. Lori will tell you I'm generally, unless I'm at work, well, I work from home now, but unless I'm at work, I'm wearing a ball cap. Even when I'm flying for work, I'll wear a ball cap on the way and on the way home. But and I usually try to just make it fun and throw on a ball cap that has something to do with what we've got going on, either as a group here or something Lori and I have been up to, or something we're doing, upcoming or whatever, or something that ties in with some of the topics that we talk about. And usually I get pretty good. There's only been a couple times when I've just thrown a ball cap on because I couldn't make a connection. Well, last week, I talked about the birthday of the 8th Air Force. The 8th Air Force was started at Hunter Army Airfield near Savannah, and that's the 8th Air Force was the unit. All of the B-17 bombers flew out of England, and they all originated in Savannah. They got their airplane, they flew up the coast across Newfoundland and eventually over to England. Anyway, the 8th Air Force, you'll often hear them called the Mighty 8th Air Force. And there is a museum called the National Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force. It's down near Savannah, a little town called Pooler. It's on the interstate I-95. You've probably seen it if you've gone down 95. But it used to be known as the Mighty 8th Air Force. They've changed it, and it has an affiliation with all of the national museums now. So National Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force. And, I've known of that museum for coming up on 20 years now, and I have been very involved in the restoration of a B-17 bomber called City of Savannah. And we've been restoring that plane for about a dozen years now. And I was actively involved for several years running as we restored the radio compartment Anyway, so I'm actually the designated chief radio operator for the B-17 bomber known as City of Savannah, and try to get down there. Since I've been up here in Atlanta, I try to get down there about once a quarter or once every other quarter, and we'll try to do an activity centered around the B-17 radio compartment that has something to do with what's going on. Either it's D-Day, anniversary of D-Day, anniversary of Pearl Harbor, or Veterans Day, or Armed Forces Day, or the birthday of the 8th Air Force, which is in January. Anyway, so the last couple of weeks I had a designated hat of the week, and I wasn't able to use this one. But last week I talked about the birthday of the 8th Air Force. So this week I'm wearing an 8th Air Force ball cap. That is the hat of the week. All right. That was a pretty long diatribe just to explain a hat, wasn't it? But that's the way that goes. All right. Let's see. So spring training, Jonathan looks like he's a ball fan. Yeah, you should see some more activity going here with some others. But I'm excited about baseball. If it gets back to a regular schedule, I'll be much more excited than I was last year. The Braves did very well, but an abbreviated season, it's hard to, I don't know, just I wasn't really as into it last year as I normally am, and I'm a baseball guy. Okay, let's see. I did not pull any military history items this week. Hey, Brenda Lusk. I was downstairs cooking. Lori and I are home, and I just had to cook for the two of us. So I cooked very nice pan-seared pork chop with butter and rosemary, and it was absolutely delicious. So I'm a little bit behind, running a little bit behind today, but let's see. I did watch, though, last night. I don't know if Steve Shirley's on, but I did watch Dr. Strangelove last night. I mentioned it last week. Last week was the anniversary of the release of Dr. Strangelove. If you've never seen that, you owe it to yourself. All right, Aunt Paula. Well, good. That I'll jot that down and make sure you get credit for that. We'll do that right now as we speak. Aunt Paula's jumping ahead here for the Thank a Vet challenge that we've been doing for almost 2 years now. We've been doing the Thank a Vet challenge. We hit a milestone this week, which I'll tell you about here in just a sec. All right, Aunt Paula, I got you in there. I'll go ahead and jump to that and tell you that we had several thank yous this week. And this is just for those that are watching this, or those that may be new to what we do here. By the way, the episode, The Story of Zane, that we did a couple weeks ago, that's had over 200, almost 300 views, I think, by different people. So, hey, if us telling our story can help someone else in some way, we don't even know which way or how, that's a good thing. Anyway, there's Daryl. Daryl told me he was going to be running late. Hey, Daryl, good to have you in there. So we started doing the thanking a vet, as we're out and about during our, daily routine during the week. If we see a veteran or a military member, we just very purposely tell them that we appreciate them, tell them thanks for their service. It might seem a little bit weird sometimes, especially coming from another vet, but I've kind of gotten into the groove. And, if I see someone with something that tells me that they're a veteran, I'll tell them how much I appreciate them, or tell them thanks, or whatever. Every circumstance is different. So we've been tracking those for a couple of years now, and the numbers are getting pretty good. We had 8 new ones this week that I'm aware of anyway. Aunt Paula thanked a couple sheriff deputies down there in Florida this week, and then I got her for the Vietnam vet. Ken thanked 2 airmen. Ken had to go on the road this week in his consulting job. Ken thanked a couple of airmen where he was working. And then on the way back, his ticket agent, he found out his ticket agent was a retired naval officer. So they had an exchange there. So Ken had that. And then Ken contacted me during the week last week and told me about another interaction he had that can't really talk too much about, but let's just say he was able to thank someone acting in a federal agency capacity at an undisclosed location. So Ken gets credit for 2, 3, 4, 5, because when he got to Orlando, he thanked a police officer. Now, Ken, I didn't put 2 and 2 together here, but I hope you weren't thanking the police officer in Orlando after he pulled you over and gave you a ticket. Hopefully, the exchange was not related to any traffic violation, but good stuff there. And let's see. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thank yous. And actually, I got another thank you today. I was out at the Kroger, and I forget which ball cap I had on, but at least half my ball caps have something to do with the military. And anyway, I got a very nice thank you from someone at the Kroger. So that was cool. Well, I mentioned we reached a milestone in our Thank a Vet challenge. It's not like we're hunting veterans. It's like we're just keeping track. It's kind of a friendly thing we have. We're keeping track whenever one of us, takes a minute to say thank you. You just don't know, the impact that could have on somebody. You could make someone's day just by telling them, thank you, or you appreciate them, or you could change the trajectory of somebody's day, and you may not even know it. But anyway, so we eclipsed our 700 mark. We hit 702. 702 is our new count, and that's just short of 2 years. Actually, we started in, what was it, Lori, May of 2019, because we were on our way. We were flying back from visiting our daughter at Texas A&M, and we were in the airport when we got the very first one. That gave me the idea for it, and that was May. So we're still a couple of months away from 2 years. To have 700 of those as a relatively small group of patriots, that's pretty good. All right, let's see. Let me jump back up to the other challenge that we've kind of had going now for over 2 years, and that's our Veteran Cemetery Challenge. Anytime one of us in this group visits a Veteran Cemetery Challenge for whatever, or Veteran Cemetery for whatever reason, we log that, and if it's a new one, I always enjoy the pictures, and I keep a map, and that continues to grow, and I really enjoy that. Anytime I'm out and about traveling around, I'm always hypersensitive to if there's a veteran cemetery or a cemetery that has a veteran section in it. And anyway, we had a few this week. Daryl visited Jefferson Barracks, and you guys are having some inclement weather, aren't you? And I think you went out there anyway because of Valentine's Day. And Daryl normally puts daisies on his wife Wanda's grave, but he put roses this week. Good stuff, Daryl. And Lori and I, we had, we visit Zane a lot. We live close, first of all. We're about 20 miles away from the cemetery. And I don't know, we enjoy going. I used to say it's my least favorite place and my most favorite place all at the same time. And that really used to sum up how I feel about it, being there, having to be there. I think my attitude toward it has maybe shifted a little bit. I enjoy going out there and the peacefulness and visiting. There's sometimes we go out there. It's purposeful. There's certain, there might be a certain anniversary, or there might be a certain activity, or whatever going on there. But sometimes we'll just go. It's not, and we don't always go together. We have different schedules, but it doesn't always have to be for a reason that one of us run out there. Sometimes I'll just get a hankering to get out of the house and go for a ride, and that's where I'll go. And I always feel better after I leave there, not worse. And I know that it can be a difficult thing to explain to people, and people not really knowing any better will often say, "Man, why do you go out there so much? You're just making it worse, or you're just, isn't it make it more painful?" Or every person, every human is different. God made every human so different that you can't make a blanket statement about anybody. But I would say for us, I just can't imagine not going, and going pretty regular. But I would never cast any sort of judgment on anybody that didn't want to visit. I think I've mentioned before, when Lori and I went to a couples retreat for couples that had lost children. There was a couple, the husband, they lost their teenage son to an automobile accident, and they were coming up on a year. I think, Lori, I think that's right. They were coming up. We had been maybe 6 months or 7 months, but they were coming up on a year since they lost their son. And this guy, Barney, I remember his name. Barney had not yet been able to even bring himself to go to the cemetery. And is that right or wrong? I don't know. It's not either. That's that's the individual. And I guess my advice. Why am I saying this? My advice to people that try to tell folks, what's right and what's wrong and what's not, and just keep it to yourself. Unless someone asked you for your opinion, I wouldn't insinuate to anybody that going regularly is wrong or not going at all is wrong. I mean, people make their own choices, and people are different. People grieve differently. People, process things differently. And at least for Lori and I think Lori and I are very similar in the way that we address it. And of course, we've been together more of our life than we haven't. We're 37 or 38 years we've been together. So a lot of the things that we do, we're dissimilar, but a lot of the things we do tend to be, like-minded. But for us anyway, we don't think of it like that. We just go and visit. And it's hard to explain if you don't. And we still have our parents. Lori has her mother, and I have my parents, and we haven't gone through that, that circumstance yet. What is that like? But I know that losing a child certainly is a different feeling than that. And then I know geography and proximity plays a part in it. We're only 20 miles away. It's very simple, very easy for us. We're blessed. We moved where we're at, this side of town, so that we could be closer. I don't know. Why am I rambling? I don't know. Just sometimes it comes up that people wonder, why do you go out there all the time? Why do you go, why do you put yourself through that? I'm not putting myself through anything. It gives me great joy to go spend time out there and contemplate and talk. And I don't know. We've had some occasions out there where we've met people. We've been able to assist people, grieving spouse, or you don't know. God puts you in certain places to do certain things. You just don't know when. Anyway, I hadn't planned on talking about that at all today, but anyway, it's for us. We get great comfort out of it, and I know that there's people that they aren't able, to visit like that. Just proximity and what have you, and there's not a right or a wrong, but anyway, I'm just trying to explain, because some people wonder, why do you go out there all the time? But then that's the answer. Anyway, so we had 3 visits this week that I'm aware of anyway, and that takes us to this little group of people. We've made 365 visits to 126 different places. So that's cool. That's great. What does it really translate to? Well, it translates to, you go visit one, you develop a feeling. What did I feel there? What did I see? And you share it with someone. You tell somebody about it, and it's like the Reach Across America. Remember, honor, teach. I mean, if we don't tell the next generation about the reverence of a veteran cemetery, how are they going to learn it? They're not going to learn it in school. They're not going to learn it on TV. They're not going to learn it from the news. I don't know. It's one of those things that's almost a word of mouth. You have to share with others about these places where, those who maybe they didn't give their all, but they gave a portion of their lives, the time that they were serving. They didn't all die in combat, but they gave a portion of their life, that portion of time that they were serving. They gave it, and they were ready to, and that's where that's where they reside, and that's where we honor them. Anyway, I talked a lot about that tonight. That wasn't even on the script. That I won't charge you any extra. But okay, so that was the Veteran Cemetery Challenge, the Thank a Vet Challenge. What we've got going on this week, organizations. I mentioned having Kelly on, and she's offered to do that next Sunday, but I need to firm it up. I think Lori's going to be out of town next week, I believe, or next weekend. But as soon as I know whether Lori will be back or whatever, I'll let everybody know on the Facebook group. But we'll have Kelly on, and I'm going to put the Returning the Favor episode link in the Facebook group so everybody can take a look at that. If you haven't already, it's just a fascinating story. And then we have got some things that we're planning to do as winter's getting a grip on some people right now, isn't it? I was about to say, as soon as winter lets up and we move into spring, we'll start thinking about some of the other things that we want to do out and about, some of the races that we want to be a part of and that we'll share with you all. And we did a couple last year. We planning to do some more this year, and basically, raising awareness and even money for veterans related matters and whatnot. So we would love you guys to participate with us in a variety of things throughout the year. And I mentioned some of the things that we're planning to do. And for our Atlanta located friends, I'm looking to do some similar activities with my work group here in Atlanta. So I'd love to include everybody in that. And certainly when Memorial Day gets here, we're going to assess, what the posture is relative to the virus and can we do the flags this year and everything. So I also learned, speaking of the mighty 8th Air Force Museum, they're doing something this year that I just read about today or yesterday. They are going to be placing, and they're going to need some help to do this. Maybe that's something, maybe Lori and I can run down to Savannah. I don't know. We have grandkids down there. So they're going to be placing 10,000 some odd. There were 10,000 some odd airmen. I forget the number. Anyway, that were killed in the war, flying in the 8th Air Force. And each B-17 had a 10-man crew. So they're going to place flags in one of the gardens out there. If you've never been to that museum in Savannah, you should take a trip there. And anyway, we got a lot of things throughout the course of the year that we're hoping to be involved in some capacity. Lori says there'll be flags either way. Well, we got away with it last year, placing 3,000 flags in an unauthorized manner, but I think they may be on the lookout this year. We'll have to see as we get closer. They may end up doing like they did the Wreaths Across America, where we run it on shifts, and that would be acceptable. We had a good time with that in December, where they did it across 3 days and they did it in different shifts, and if that helps mitigate their concerns, then that might be something that. But you guys can check in wherever you guys live, check and see what the local places are doing. All right. Well, I didn't see any service members that we lost this week, and I feel like I'm missing one that I saw, but I didn't capture it. But every week we try to honor any service members that we lost during this past week under whatever the circumstances were. And then I did not go onto Facebook. I like to do this every now and then, and I don't do it every week, but I like to go back and look at Zane's Facebook page very specifically, and just to see what he was doing at a period of time. And I try to, like if I were going to do it today, I would have gone to February the 14th on all the years he was on Facebook, just to see what he was up to. And we get some really good nuggets out of that. And sometimes they surprise us, and things we never knew or had forgotten about. And it's neat to have that record of things. And of course, in his last year, right on down to the week before, the posts were different. And you can see in his posts, and you can see this sort of ebb and flow of things, and it kind of tracks with what was going on in his life, during those particular times. And anyway, it's interesting that we still have that, and we're able to go back and take a look at it. But don't forget to check on your friends. I tell you, it is amazing just what what it can mean to somebody, just having you give them a call and asking them how they're doing. And there's folks that we've lost, obviously, that people look back and say, man, I wish I'd have checked on them. And besides Zane, there's been, what, Lori, I think 3 others that we've lost: Myers, Doc, and I think maybe one other besides Zane, since they came back from Iraq. And it's just a tragedy. But anyway, you don't know what impact it could have on someone to just know somebody cares about them and is checking on them. You don't have to be nosy or pry, but checking in on your buddies is a good thing. And I was talking to some folks at work. We're getting ready to do a sort of a Q&A at work about highlighting some veterans at our company that have been there a little while. I've been I've been at my company about 9 years now, and folks that have been there for a while that are veterans, and talking about how the military, how you transition from the military, how being a veteran impacts what you do, and how your career has gone, and things like that. Anyway, as we were talking through some things, inevitably I always go back to keeping those relationships alive, and keeping the lines of communications open. And you hear, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you often hear that veterans can be apart from each other for years, decades, and come back together, sit across the table over a beer or whatever, and it's like no time has passed. And it's absolutely true. But it's important, and probably easier today than ever, to stay in touch with people and have an awareness of what's going on. We don't know what people are going through all the time, and just to show some concern, some interest, I think is a good thing. Anyway, talking about this at work, I always wind up coming back to, we talk about veterans matters and veteran outreach, and somebody will inevitably say, well, geez, but how can you help? You hear the 22 a day number, and people are like, man, how do you even deal with that? How can one person, make a difference? It seems insurmountable. And anyway, it always gives me the opportunity to come back to the Ronald Reagan quote, and which has become one of my favorite all-time quotes from anybody. And that's we can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. And it's so true. And I got to say that to someone again this week, as we were talking about these kind of things. But anyway, check on your buddies. If you see a veteran, tell them thanks. If you know some good organizations that are doing great work, and you want to tell us about them, tell us. Put them on the Facebook group, or put them in the chat, or I'll have them on here. If you know somebody that would be interested in talking about what they're doing with veterans, or about a organization that's doing good work. Hey, this is just a little thing on Sunday night for me to hear myself talk. I'll throw somebody on here if they want to share. So if you know of anything like that, let me know, and I would love to share with others. Well, have a great week, everybody. I tell you what, I appreciate every one of you showing up here, and thank you for enduring all my new capabilities here. I'm still playing around, and hope to maybe even add some other things here, but sometimes simple is better. I'll try to keep if I get too out of bounds, I'll rein myself in. But have a great week, everybody. Make it count. We'll look forward to seeing everybody again next Sunday night. It'll be what, the 132nd, speaking of Zane. So we'll look forward to it. Thanks, everybody.